All right, so we are back 3 straight weeks of football with the great American youth. We've been on a roll
Records.
recently. We've been doing great things. Um, it's a pretty big week for the both of us. The league is starting to take some shape. We're starting to see, the rankings kind of file out a bit. We're starting to see what the real good teams are and what the fraudulent teams are. So, the league is, I think definitely starting to, like I was saying, just take shape. And yeah, we're just excited to get into it. We'll start with the regular football news as always. And first off, Russ was back this week and he cooked against Devontae and the Jets. What did you think about that matchup?
I think no one expected it, and Mike Tomlin honestly got a lot of ridicule for taking Fields out. I personally did not like the move. I think we both didn't. We talked
Yeah.
about that, we thought it was stupid, and he straight up proved us wrong. Like, hey, I was impressed with what I saw. That wasn't the same Russ that was on the Broncos, first of all. That was a good Jets defense. And honestly, the Devontae Adams trade didn't really make much of a difference. The Jets still made the same mistakes they made when he wasn't there. So I don't know. I don't think they can maybe squeak in the playoffs, but I think I'd rather put money on the Steelers getting in over the Jets to the playoffs. What about you?
Yeah, I mean, it was just I think echoing what you said about the Jets, I don't see how their season gets any better from here. I don't think the Devontae trade was really, going to be the thing that pushed them over the top, similar to I don't think Robert Saleh getting fired was really going to change that much for them. They've lost both of their games since that. And
Yeah.
yeah, it just seems like a downward trajectory for them right now. And with the Steelers, again, Mike Tomlin, there was an interview clip earlier this week, and he was like, "This is what I get paid for.
Yeah, I saw that.
this is why he's highly paid individual." I mean,
It was a great answer.
he gets paid to make these decisions. Russ, he showed up, he showed out, and for the Steelers, they had consistently been a winning team under Mike Tomlin. He's a great head coach. I'm curious to see what the future of Justin Fields is, just in the NFL. Like, does he stay with Pittsburgh? Is this someplace where they continue to develop him into a future starter? Does he go someplace else and get a starting opportunity now? Because he did win. He went 4-2.
It
It's
looked
not like
good.
it's not like he played bad or like he actively lost them games. Even in their losses, he played well. So, I think it's Pittsburgh's in a good situation. Russ is playing well again, but definitely pressure on him to continue playing well because Justin Fields, he was able to produce results for them so far this year.
Yeah, so some great questions, honestly, with Fields. Like I don't know where he ends up. They could even I heard something about them using him in packages
Yeah,
too, potentially in the red zone, but I don't know. That really they could do anything with him. They could even trade him this year. Who knows? Like they don't really need him and give it to a team like the Dolphins. I know they have Tua back, but you know what I mean.
yeah.
Anyways, getting into another story. Lions took down the Vikings. Very good game. Came down the wire with a field goal. But honestly, it was closer than I thought. I thought the Lions would have it more like easily, and the Vikings put up a fight. Obviously, like Montgomery fumbled the ball late, didn't help, and he was hurt for part of the game. But Gibbs cooked in his absence, and
Yeah.
Goff is like I think he's playing at MVP caliber right now. So if he keeps that up, he could be the favorite in a few weeks. But for now, I think the Lions are the team to beat in the NFC North, and that's by far the best division in all of football. So I'm curious to see Packers Lions. That I think could be interesting. But I think it's pretty clear that the Vikings were better than the Packers when they played earlier. So I do think the Lions should win that game. But we'll see what happens eventually. Who do you think is taking the top spot in the North right now, if
I'm
you had to guess?
Yeah, you got to roll with the Lions right now. Um, the Vikings have this is only one loss for the Vikings, so I don't think that you can count them out. Like I don't think that this is indicative of them having like a collapse where they just lose out, like they did historically. But I do think that the Lions they've been there and they've done this before. The Vikings, especially with Sam Darnold, we haven't seen Sam Darnold succeed. We haven't seen him, succeed in the postseason, lead a team throughout a full season successfully. The Lions did this last year, and this is just them building on that momentum. So I think they're going to
Exactly.
keep it up. I see them, finishing off as one of the best teams in the NFC this year. And right now, yeah, I agree with you 100%. They're the team to beat for sure.
Cool. And then getting into the last story of the week, probably one of the saddest stories in a
Yeah.
way if you heard Jameis Winston's speech. But I mean, Watson tore his ACL, messed up his knee really badly, and then gets booed off the field. I mean, that's nobody wants that. That's not cool. What were your reactions to that?
Yeah, I mean it's just a wild and sorry I put ACL on there. He tore his Achilles, not his ACL. But
Achilles,
still, it's a
Bobby.
yeah. I was like, it's a crazy injury, or just like a crazy like just sequence of events for Deshaun Watson. If you think about and for the Browns franchise to go from him being an MVP caliber player in Houston, was he didn't play a year there, then didn't play his first year in Cleveland, like pretty much missed 2 seasons of football, came back, played really bad last year, and then played really bad, was injury prone, and then this year to have an Achilles, like career altering injury like that, it's hard to envision. Sean Watson's 29 years old, but it's hard to envision seeing him as the same quarterback. We've hardly seen him be the same quarterback since he's come back this season. So I think similar. You got to agree with what Jameis Winston said to see him going through, what is a difficult thing for him and that injury and getting booed off the field. Like that's awful. Especially when, he is giving his all, he's, despite all of the other things happening, he's still showing up. He's doing his job. He's, representing that city. But yeah, it's in spite of all of that, I think this has just all been, and, maybe it's karma. This has just been the Deshaun Watson experiment in Cleveland, massive failure on all parts. And yeah, and it looks like it's going to continue to be a failure for them for the rest of this season. So what
A
do you
lot
think
of
about it?
just a lot of money down the drain. That's all I can say. He's one of the highest paid QBs, and he hasn't played much in 2 years. So it's sad to see, but they messed up trading for him in the first place and signing him. But we'll see what happens there.
And then for us, it was a big, obviously it was a little bit scary at the start. We had Jaden Daniels go down. We've seen him. We've been pretty lucky so far this year. I feel like LSU, he was throwing himself around. He's been more like mature and kind of more composed in how he's playing the game.
Definitely.
But see him take an injury early against the Panthers, it doesn't mean a thing.
That's
Mariota comes in, we end up
yeah.
dominating. What was your impression of the game? How'd you feel about the injury and also just the game and how we performed after it?
Yeah, I mean, it just honestly, I knew he'd get hurt eventually. He's just the way he played last year, the way he started this year. He's been a bit, I don't want to say chaotic, but he's figuring it out. He has been maturing for sure, but I knew eventually there'd be something. And this is, you said it, you put it well. I don't think it's a bad injury at all. Maybe miss a week, maybe two at most. But Mariota looked really good in his absence. I mean, we were playing the Panthers, but to still drop 40 on them, and Mariota had almost like 200 yards, a couple touchdowns. He looked really good. So as long as like if the defense can keep playing the way they were playing, I think that's a big thing going forward. And then ideally, it would be cool to have Jaden Daniels back for this big matchup against the Bears, but it would be cool also to just win without him too. Like just this pretty much how this one was. We obviously started off with the pick six, but it just sucks to see him get hurt. But he did get me 5 fantasy points, so I will take that before him getting hurt. But we'll get into the fantasy side here in a sec. Still on top of the NFC East, we
Yeah.
love that.
Question for you about at this point, we're 7 games into the season, so a little bit, before that halfway mark. At what point do you feel like this team is, like legitimately going to be able to call themselves one of the best in the NFC East? I think we're talking about, that Detroit Minnesota matchup. They're in a really good division in the NFC North. How much is it going to take for the Commanders? Is it going to be winning this week? Is it going to be, another big divisional win? At what point are we already, at a place where we can be like, no, we're a real contender right now?
I think we need to take down Philly. I think they're the only true competition in our division right now, and they've looked shaky. I'm not gonna lie. Recently, the last 2 weeks they've looked good with AJ Brown, Saquon, everyone healthy, but I don't know if that holds up. And they didn't dominate the Browns like everyone thought they would. They have a big matchup this week against the Bengals. They're going to have some harder, tougher opponents. I don't really I don't trust them, honestly. The Cowboys very fraudulent. I don't think they're any good. Nothing we need to worry about. And the Giants, we beat them already. I think we should be able to beat them again. I think we're at home next time too, so that'll be a big win for the division. But I think if we could take our division easily, we'll be in a good setting ourselves up well for playoffs. And I think the only way we could do that is like honestly winning at least 4 out of 6 divisional games, 4 to 5 ideally. What do you think? What number do you think we need to win the division of divisional wins?
I mean, looking at the rest of, I think we need to beat the Giants, and I'm gonna say three. I'm gonna say three.
3?
I think we need to beat the Giants, or I'll say four because we need to beat the
4.
Giants,
Yeah.
and I think we need to sweep either the Eagles or the Cowboys. I think one,
Sweep or split?
yeah, sweep or split.
Or
Yeah, like
split.
I think we need to, I think we need to make sure that we're like Giants is a guaranteed win, and I think we need to be able to perform against both of those teams. So I'll go with four. Um,
Yeah.
but we've been, I don't know, as long as with or without Jaden Daniels, it's like the offense has looked good. I'm kind of curious to see without this week if we go without him against the Bears, if we continue to play as well. Maybe that means that this offense is just foolproof and like we're going to be able to run kind of regardless. Like I
Yeah.
think this week, especially if Jaden
A
Daniels is
big
missing,
test.
would be just as big of a test and a really interesting kind of litmus test to see where the team is at.
Definitely. And it's like one of the first teams above 500 that we're playing this year. So let's hopefully get that win. But let's get into fantasy now. Started off, we'll get into our matchups more thoroughly in a bit, but me and you both got the win pretty
Yeah,
not easily, but we got the win. We've dominated more in the past. I mean, you dominated by a lot, but I didn't really. Ian got a dominant win over Joel by only dropping 88 points, which is crazy. Adwin, I mean, Adwin either drops 140 or he drops like 90. I feel like he's been pretty hit or miss there, but he got a big win over Matt. Sebastian staying hot too, taking down Yusuke, 4-3, both 4-3 now. And then Cohen honestly squeaked by one of the worst teams in the league. Alex, he is definitely the worst team in the league, but I mean, he beat me. I'm a pretty solid team. I not to pat myself on the back. Matt, he low-key should have beat Matt Cohen. If Mark Andrews didn't go off, he
yeah.
would have beat Matt Cohen. So Mark Andrews had 2 touchdowns. That's literally, you take one of those touchdowns off the board, he literally wins. So it came down to that at the end, but I do think, and Matt Cohen had the injury to Godwin, that
It was
you're starting
brutal.
to separate yourself a little bit. We'll kind of get into the standings in a bit, but I guess we'll go to our matchups first.
Yeah, so you took the win against Lucas. Pretty solid win, although you were sweating a little bit in this matchup. It was a
Yeah,
little tense moment for you.
I shouldn't have been sweating. I was tied with Lucas at the 4 o'clock window, and I had Jaden Daniels, Deebo Samuel, and one other player, and the 2 best, who I thought would drop like almost 15 to 20 each, Deebo and Jaden, both go down right away. Sucks to see, but my team still ended up prevailing thanks to, in big part, honestly, Chris Boswell. He carried me there at the end, and same with Garrett Wilson. He had a better performance than I thought with Devontae Adams still there, so I'll take that. But yeah, Lucas's team has been pretty shaky. I'm not gonna lie. A lot of injuries, like nothing out of it. Like, a lot of things kind of out of his control. But he's had a good rookie year. But you're not gonna win with 92 in this league. You needed to drop 100 at least. Teaching you a tip here. Next time drop 100 against me, maybe you'll win. But yeah, it feels good to win. I mean, I literally 0 points from one of my best receivers, 5 points from one of the best QBs in the league right now. So getting a win with that is kind of just shows the depth and like how good my team is, how well rounded my team is, in my opinion. But yeah, let's get into your team. Moving to 6-1,
Yeah, I
another
mean it was
dominant
a
win.
big one, 130. I was talking about last week that I was a little bit hesitant about this matchup, that I felt like Max's team had some upside. They had no upside. I can come back to you to confirm.
You can
No
confirm.
no reason to be afraid. Max also needs to drop more than 100 points to beat me. This week I got
At least.
130. It was a pretty dominant performance. Bo Nix at QB, he was able to do just fine for me with 14 points. My running backs all got into the end zone, which was great for me. DK Metcalf picked up an injury, even though he found the end zone. He's week to week, but still was able to put in a good performance for me. And I had my number one kicker in the league, Brandon Aubrey, on bye, so I decided, all right, let me just go ahead and pick up a kicker who's going to have the number one performance this week. Got 18 points out of my kicker, which was better than anyone on Max's team. So, I just had
Quick
a
thing.
really.
Speaking of Aubrey, did you see he's on jury duty right now? Might not play this week.
Yeah, I saw, but if he doesn't play, that's going to really annoy me. I saw, yeah, I saw that he missed practice today. So I hope, he missed practice this week already. So I hope that he doesn't. If that impacts me, that would be one of the most frustrating things ever. But Lutz is back on waivers. Aubrey's in my starting slot right now. So that ends up what having to happen. If that's what has to happen, I'm gonna have to make a Sunday morning game time call. So hopefully his murder trial or whatever is going on gets resolved before Sunday kickoff.
You never think jury duty would affect your
Yeah,
fantasy football ever.
I've never seen that type of update before on ESPN talking about he's missed practice for jury duty. This is not the type of
You're
injury
like,
designation
what?
that I need to see.
No. Yeah, for real. But yeah, let's get into the standings now. Kind of it's starting to become a little bit of a gap. You could. Obviously there's no teams at 500 this week. But there are like half the leagues above 500, half the leagues below 500. There's a clear bottom, a clear top with you and
Yeah.
Cohen. But I don't know. I think there's a lot to take away from the standings. What do you think is the most surprising thing so far with the standings?
I mean, I think it's just interesting to see that even though the rankings, Alex at 1-6, he's definitely like he's in the worst position. The two while the gap between 2-5 and 4-3 is only 2 games. I think it's a lot bigger than that in terms of like the quality of those teams. I don't know if Joel and Ian. I think they're 12 and 16 playoff percentages. I think they accurately reflect where their teams are at. Max, the same deal. I think that Adwin's percentage. I think Adwin and Yusuke are both teams that are probably better. That I think both of them are going to be threats throughout the rest of this season. But yeah, I think Yusuke is probably the cutoff of where dangerous teams are. I think past that, I'm not too concerned. Sorry, Matt and Max and Lucas and the rest. I'm not really too worried about any of their teams yet. Maybe I think Joel's the only one. Joel's been hit with a lot of injury. He's fraudulent as always, so I don't think that really.
Yeah.
Not sure if that'll change much for him, but there isn't too much behind Yusuke that I'm like, oh, that's gonna change and be impactful the rest of the season.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, it's kind of a clear line with to the points. I mean, Matt L is the one difference because he's at 727, but really everyone out of the playoffs is 600 or less, and everyone else is 700 or more. Mm-hmm. So it's kind of cool. The difference right there is literally it's separated by records too. So sometimes you don't see that. You see teams where they get a lot of wins and not put up points, and it's good to just see the points reflecting in the record.
Yeah, and then I made my first after long negotiations, after trying to make a trade every week for the past few weeks. I've been desperately in search of receiver help, been willing to give up things to get it, and Kareem Hunt, after dropping 2 touchdowns for me, he did it. He gets his last performance and he does his farewell. Trade him and Devin Singletary for Juwan Jennings and Jalen Tolbert. obviously, I made the trade. I feel decent about it. But what do you think about this trade? How do you feel about it and kind of the context of the league?
Yeah, I will say first off before I get into the trade, it is the second trade of the year for our league, which
Yeah,
is kind of crazy given that we have about a month to the deadline. But anyways, getting into the trade, I think you kind of fleeced him, honestly. I mean, Juwan Jennings, he's arguably he should be a starting receiver the rest of the year for fantasy. Especially with Ayuk out for the year. There's been so many injuries on that roster that he'll play a big role going forward. So I think you got the most value in this trade going forward. Jalen Tolbert could end up being a good piece. I mean, he's the number 2, 3 receiver there, and he's looked solid so far. So I think that's another side piece you'll take. But I mean, Kareem Hunt, he has like what 1, 2, maybe 3 weeks left at most being the starter, and then he's not going to see the field much if we're being
yeah,
real. It'll be Pacheco. Pacheco's way more dominant, but we'll see what happens there. And then Singletary too. I mean, he's kind of losing his role to Tyrone Tracy.
yeah,
So I think you kind of gave away people that are trending down and gained players that are trending up. So I think overall win for you. And
yeah.
Lucas, I don't know what you're thinking, man.
No,
Rookie
no.
mistakes, you know.
I do feel like I think I feel again I feel pretty good about this trade. I do think that Juwan Jennings is going to be you know at this point in the season it's like I have my 6 wins, so I'm thinking a lot more about further into the season. If I'm going to be in a championship game, if I'm winning, my lineup is going to be Kenneth Walker, Jonathan Taylor, and Derrick Henry. Those are going to be my 3 starting running backs. So anyone beyond that, is tradable for me. And receiver is really the one position where I don't feel confident about my depth. I have DK Metcalf, I have Zay Flowers. I've been kind of mix and matching my bench guys and different waiver guys, but Juwan Jennings gives me someone who, like you said, I feel like he can be starting level for the rest of this year. And Jalen Tolbert, Brandon Cooks went on IR a few weeks ago with an infection in his knee. There's no really telling when he's going to come back. And
That's
Tolbert,
true. I forgot
the
about
last
that.
Tolbert, the last 2 games has gotten 5+ targets. Like he's been, more involved in the passing game, coming off of a bye week. There's real potential for him to continue to be involved and to continue to get that volume. So, I think for Lucas, the benefit of
100%.
it is he's deep at receiver. He is, in a bit of a rough spot. And, over the next, 1 to 3 weeks, he probably needs to pick up those wins. So I think he gets Kareem Hunt, Devin Singletary. Yeah, Singletary means
It's
nothing.
a short-term win.
Yeah, it's a
Short-term win. You could have
short-term
him,
win for
but
Lucas. But I think that in the long term, Juwan Jennings and Jalen Tolbert, those are going to be a lot bigger assets to me down the line. So
100%. Yeah. Now let's get into the marquee matchups that we preluded to earlier.
yeah,
You're up first. How are you feeling? The 6-1s face off. How are you feeling heading into this matchup?
yeah. I mean, unfortunately, heading into this week, a lot of my team is, you know, just facing a lot of injury uncertainty. Even with the Juwan Jennings trade, DK Metcalf, of course, he picked up that injury. He's not practicing until Friday, or he's not being evaluated until Friday to see if he will practice and play. So, no real information or updates there for me yet. Juwan Jennings, I don't know if I've. Let me see. He's questionable. Is there an update today? So yeah, he didn't practice Wednesday. There hasn't been an update yet today that I've seen. Zay Flowers hasn't practiced
Yeah.
yet this week, so I'm looking pretty weak
Oh,
at receiver. There might be a scenario where I'm starting Khalil Shakir and Jalen Tolbert at receiver this week. That could be pretty rough for me. But beyond that, Jonathan Taylor being back is huge for me. Derrick Henry and Kenneth Walker, they've been solid for me so far. Getting Aubrey back, jury duty allowing. Hopefully, he's able to play for me. And I think really the biggest change for me is Jared Goff is going to be starting at QB for me this week. I've been streaming QB post Justin Fields, riding with Bo Nix for a little bit. But I think Jared Goff I'm picking him up with the hope that he can be the option for the rest of the season for me. He's been playing pretty solid the last few weeks. He's averaging 17 a game. I think that, he's going to be a guy who I expect to overperform his projection. We'll get into the over-unders, but I think his projection's a little bit low, and I think that he's someone who's going to be a real asset to me, not just this week, but for the rest of the season. So I feel
Definitely.
good going against Cohen's team, but especially with him, the double tight end in the double tight end for his tight end and flex, I don't see that lasting. He's been pretty aggressively trying to trade CeeDee Lamb, I know, so I wouldn't be surprised if we see him have a different lineup before Sunday actually comes. But I feel like I'm in a good place. And again, I feel like my team is, despite the uncertainty with my lineup, I feel like my team's in a good place for this week.
I will say, looking at his team now, with the injuries he's sustained, his team isn't really as scary.
Yeah,
Like I mean, that receiver besides CD Lamb, who's been hit or miss this year, Mooney's been solid. I'll give it to him, but I mean, normally you do want to start a receiver or running back at flex. He doesn't really have that, like we both do, like a good running back to start there. I mean, it's obviously tight end situation is kind of tough. I mean, he has two decent tight ends. It's gonna be tough picking who to choose going forward if he does get a flex in there. Um, Running back room, Joe Mixon's been hot to start the year. I don't know if he keeps that up, honestly. Like he's been going 20 a game. You could see that 20.8 a game. I don't see that, especially with Nico Collins coming back sometime soon. He'll take away some of that. But Alvin Kamara, their offense has not looked good recently. That's hit or miss. They play in a good Chargers team. Jordan Love, I'll give that to him. He is
yeah,
one of the best fantasy quarterbacks. That's a good pick there. But the bench, nothing really intimidating there. Maybe Keon Coleman, maybe Zach Moss, but I don't know. I think you should be able to pull this one out. Like I'm not honestly as intimidated with his team anymore. With like Godwin out of the picture, I feel like there's somebody else too. We lost already, but it's not as
yeah,
intimidating as it was before.
yeah.
It's
I
really
agree.
coming down to your injury uncertainty here.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and then your
Getting into
matchup.
my matchup here. Yep. Yeah, this one obviously I'm projected to lose here, but I don't have a projected point total for my quarterback, who's been Jaden Daniels been averaging 25, so or averaging 20, but I would be projected to win by 17 if he was in. Obviously, I have Russell Wilson on the bench there, could end up playing him. Really comes down to what happens. Might also go to the waivers, pick up a QB there. Um, a lot of things coming depending on if he plays or not. But ideally, he does. I don't need to worry about it. But as you said earlier, Max is a feisty team. You thought that going in. I am a little intimidated with like Justin Jefferson. They have a good matchup. A Chain could always drop a good 15, 20. Burrow, great player, obviously. Diggs with Nico Collins out, he's been decent. So Kyle Pitts, that's very hit or miss too. But this is a team that could drop 120, could drop 80. So like I just hope my team puts up numbers to kind of compete and just do what they've been doing last week, and hopefully all my players that are questionable play too, because I need Debo and Jaden. But we'll see what happens there.
Yeah, and I mean, I think, yeah, I mean, Max's team it is looking a little rough. If I don't know, if Debo and Jaden are out though, where do you feel like you go? Obviously, you have the Russ option. Would you prefer to go like with Deontay Johnson, DeAndre Hopkins just got traded as well, so you'll have him in
Yeah.
Kansas City for Sunday. Where do you feel like you'd go if you don't have Debo?
I think the first thing I'm checking is Patrick Surtain's availability for Denver, because if he's playing, I am not touching Deontay Johnson. He's been one of the most
Yeah,
lockdown cornerbacks all year. Honestly, I kind of want to go D Hop. I really do. It really depends on his injury status, but and how much time he really has with the team. I mean, he probably got there yesterday.
yeah,
Not too much time, but I really hope he plays. I think he could be a real difference maker for that team and difference maker for my fantasy team. I would like to play him if he's out, if Debo's out, but honestly, I might end up turning to like Keenan Allen. I think he's the safer. Like I'll probably get 6 to 8 points at least, rather than D Hop could be 3 to 20.
yeah,
That's a high estimate, but like he has a high ceiling in my opinion. But we'll see what happens there. QB, I'm leaning to Russ right now. I don't love that Giants defense. I think they're decent, so I might look at the waiver wires. There are some QBs I want to get there. I'm not going to reveal any names right now, but I do want to look there again. But really, I'm really going to bank on Jaden Daniels, even if he's like, I mean, he's not going to play limited. He's going to play full, or he's not going to play. So I really just hope he plays and go from there. Yeah,
yeah.
got
I
another
agree.
Down bad this week. I mean,
Yeah.
this one was coming for a bit. He's been on fraud alert the last few weeks.
Last few
Now he's on a
years.
4-game. Last few, you know what? Yeah, look at that streak. Ever since he won the chip, what is that? 2019. He won it in 2019. Has the worst year, one of the worst years possible after winning it. Has a mid-year, second place, third place year. That's where you beat him. That second place year.
Yeah.
That year where he got second place.
Yeah.
Where he was the best team, one of the best teams ever. Lost, fraud alert. Then the last 2 years, you can see the midness, the not quality play out of him. The meme, even our meme creator, the league meme creator, Matt, had a meme ready for us. I mean, it just fits him perfectly. Come on, let's go. He's going to be on DoorDash duty soon. 4-game losing streak. 65
Yeah.
points in 2 weeks. 65, Joel. I mean, come on, man. You know you could do better than that. Also, 609 points for. It's been 7 weeks, man. You should be at least at 700. There are no excuses at this point. No excuses, man. Come on.
No,
I mean, Anthony's at 850. Anthony's at 8. You're down by 250. How is that?
It's poor, Joel. It's poor.
If you played him every week, you would be 0-6, 0-7, whatever it is. He would be 7-0. That's concerning. Concerning stuff. I mean, let's hope that losing streak ends sometime soon. But
well, who's Joel's matchup this week?
Let's look at his schedule. Let's make predictions for when this losing streak ends. Who's he playing this week? Let's figure this out.
Oh, he has Adwin this week.
I'm taking Adwin. Yeah, I'm taking Adwin.
I take Adwin.
That's not a question for me.
He's projected
Adwin,
more.
Cohen, Yusuke. Oh my God, that's 3 losses in a row. That's 7-game losing streak. Oh wait, no, sorry, I'm not looking at the right schedule. Never mind. So Adwin, Sebastian, lost, definitely. Alex.
Yeah, Adwin, Sebastian, Alex. He'll beat Alex.
Honestly, that could be a close one. That could be a losers bowl type battle.
That won't be a losers bowl. That is going to be a trash bowl.
That honestly, I think Ian is slightly above them. I'll give that to him. But yeah, honestly, at that point too, Jordan Mason will be out.
Yeah.
Like McCaffrey will probably be in. Dude.
Yeah, like a lot of Joel's success has been based off of having Jordan Mason, but Jordan Mason's not going to be starting, after this bye week, presumably.
Yep.
So.
And then let's say he does lose that game, then he has us back-to-back weeks. I mean, that's when we're gonna be fighting for like positioning in the playoffs. Hopefully, I mean, me at least positioning. You'll definitely be in there. But then Lucas, I could see him losing 5 in a row. So make that a 9-game losing streak.
Does Joel just lose out? Do you see Joel losing out this season?
I think that's a very realistic possibility. Look at that. The team is not that good either. I mean, Caleb Williams, like 50-50 on him. James Cook, sure, I'll give that to him. Jordan Mason, not a player in 2 weeks. Like, irrelevant in 2 weeks. Tyreek Hill, it really depends on Tua. Like, I mean, everyone saw that. If Tua's Tua, then they're fine. If not, all right, he's got one receiver. Jaden Reed, he's been good, but there's like 50 million receivers on that offense. And you can't bank on him consistently. Evan Ingram, worst offense in football. One of them, if not the worst. I mean, he's been doing well, but still not great. Aaron Jones, I'll give that to him, but very injury-prone guy. I'm going through this whole lineup right now.
Yeah,
Olave, come on. I mean, that dude sucks every year. That not good pick. Prescott, not it. Jerome Ford, irrelevant with Chubb back. Jordan Addison.
He has Ricky Pearsall now.
That's a good pickup. I'll give that to him. Maybe he's trying to end this losing streak. Maybe this is his only league, and he really wants to win this week, and he's picking up Pearsall. I don't know. That's not a good team. He's not going to win with that team. I'm taking him losing out. If there were odds on that, I would take it.
Wow, Joel. I mean, this is.
You got to turn this around, man.
Yeah, Joel, it's on.
This is bad for you. You're fraudulent already, but this is 65 in 2 weeks. Like, it's one thing to drop 65. Everyone has a bad week, sure. But back to back.
I'm pretty sure
you got to make a trade. You got to do something.
He's only gotten above 90 in 3 weeks this season, and two of those were losses. Like out of
And
his 2 wins, he got 96 over 90 to Lucas, and then 88 over 79 against Max.
those are fraudulent wins. Fraudulent wins. I mean, this guy, I hate to bring this up too. Like, I mean, we were having a little bit of a league debate on if we should be able to trade future draft picks. I mean, he was the main proponent against trading future draft picks. I mean, I think he kind of wishes he probably didn't say that now. Wish he could probably tank the team for next year, but you never know. He probably would still be against it, but just saying, he probably wish he could now. Anyways, big tangents there,
Yeah,
but
you're gonna have to respond, Joel, with your team, with your performance. You can come on. You gotta. This is a poor performance.
we'll take
Joel.
you on the podcast whenever to talk through this because we needed some answers here. What's
some
happening,
intervention.
Man? This is yeah, exactly. But let's get back to our over unders. Back to the regular podcast material. We don't need to keep going in on Joel. You can go in on me a bit here. I mean, I got these over-unders right.
Speaking of intervention, I mean,
rough week.
We were talking about, this was going to be a pivotal week for you in terms of being able to, maybe bring your lead back 3-0. There was nothing close. Bo Nix went under, got the right pick there. Devon Achane, I don't know what we were thinking. Dolphins suck. I think that's really that was dumb. Dolphins are garbage without Tua. I don't know why they haven't traded for a QB or like someone else other than Tyler Huntley and Tim Boyle. It's not going to work for them with that.
Exactly.
Jaden Daniels, I got the under, off of injury. He actually played, so this doesn't count as our Devontae Adams did not play. He did play. He just registered under. Yeah. So, even though it's through injury, I get this one. And then
still an under.
And then Jalen Hurts, not even like he had a super impressive game. He just found the end zone enough times. And the rationale for it was different than what I said. They crushed the Giants. It wasn't even a close game, but he still got
I did not think
22.
it was going to be, but yeah, he balled out. I mean, you got those picks right too. So hats off to you, but I need to fix my stuff. I need to make some good picks here. Yeah, you're up 8-3 now. Oh my
yeah,
God.
I would say
even if I get everything right here and you get everything wrong, I'm still down.
I'm feeling pretty
down bad.
Pretty comfortable this week. I'll let you start though. I'll let you start. My matchup against Cohen, Jared Goff, 14.6. I kind of spoiled my opinion earlier, but what do you think about this one?
I gotta go over on this. I mean, Jared Goff's been an MVP candidate the way he's just been playing as good as any player has in the league, especially at QB. Their offense has been dropping 40 a week, 47 against the Cowboys. They're throwing it a lot more too, even without Jameson Williams, who's suspended again for some random thing. But 14.6 seems a little low to me. I think he at least gets 15, which I know that's not much more, but he'll get 2 passing touchdowns. He'll get a couple hundred yards. He'll easily get over this line against the Titans. That's an easy over for me. What about you?
Yeah, I mean, I gotta agree with you. Jared Goff has been super efficient this year. I think really his whole time in Detroit, he's really rewritten the narrative on his career. And even in LA, he's never been. Jared Goff has been I don't know. I feel like he's another Kirk Cousins level quarterback. He's almost the Tom Brady of Kirk Cousins because he's very average, but he's been good as an average quarterback. He wins as an average quarterback, and people don't really give him the credit for it. But he's won, and he's been pretty efficient and consistent everywhere he's been. He's doing it now, and yeah, I couldn't agree with you more. I expect him to, get around the yardage mark, a touchdown or two. He doesn't turn the ball over that much. I see him hitting that 14.6, especially against a bad Tennessee team that is really trying to figure things out right now. I don't know if they know where they're at right now.
Yeah, that's a good question there. But so we're both over on Goff here. All right, Kamara, 12.9 Chargers. I'm going under. Chargers defense has been good. Saints offense has been trending down. Who's playing QB? Radler? Is it Carr? If it's Radler, it's definitely an under game, but
Yeah, I mean
I don't
Carr.
see even if his car is in, I don't think it makes that big a difference. I'm still taking the under. Hammer it. What are you
Yeah,
going with?
Carr hasn't practiced yet this week, and Kamara has done
Under.
awful with Rattler as QB so far. So also hammer. There we go. He's
Under.
under
Under.
12.9. I think that's an easy one to go with.
Yeah. All right. Now my matchup, Josh Jacobs. I'll let you kick this one off. 13.8.
I'm gonna go with
Tough
the
line.
over here. It is a tough line, but I feel like this is I think I envision I envision Josh Jacobs getting multiple touchdowns in this game. That is my bold prediction. I think that he's going to go out. He's going to have a big week. Jacksonville's starting to show some life, so I think that they're going to I could see them making this a bit more of a competitive game. But Josh Jacobs hasn't found. He's only gotten one rushing touchdown so far this year. He hasn't really found the end zone on the ground that much. I see this being a game. I'm gonna bank on him finding the end zone at least once, either on the ground or on receiving. And I think he's going to be able to push over that 13.8 in what will be a more competitive game than it should be. I don't know who will win this. I think it will be close, but I don't think it's going to be Green Bay just blowing out the Jaguars. I could see a shootout here.
Yeah. No, I like that pick of the over. I agree. I could definitely see him going over this. I do want to catch up with you though, so I am going to take the under here. I do have some reasoning too. I mean, I think they could definitely blow out Jacksonville and just take him out early. I think that's definitely a possibility. I do think they've been leaning into the backup running backs a bit more too. That's why he probably only has that one touchdown on the ground. I don't know. I just think, I mean, the offense is trending up. I do want him to get over that 13.8 mark for my fantasy team. So I'm gonna take this as a win-win situation. Either he does well for my fantasy team, or he gets the under, and I catch up with you on the over/unders. So I'm gonna go with the under for him. I think it could hit honestly 50-50 on that one. It's a good line. But then with Stephon Diggs, 11.4. Which way are you leaning for him?
I'm gonna go under on this one. That might be
Under.
a little bit of a bolder pick. I know Diggs got two touchdowns against Indiana week one, so he's already burned this secondary. He's already cooked them. But I think that was
Yeah.
with that was season opener. That was with Nico Collins playing as well. I think he's going to be coming into this game as the number one receiver and receiving the full attention of the Indiana defense. So I could see this being a game where honestly maybe Joe Mixon goes off. Maybe where they go a bit more run heavy. But I think Indiana, especially on the back of being burned so badly in that first game, I think they're going to really try to make a point to prevent that coming into this week. So I'll go with the under on Stephon Diggs, even if he gets the volume just based off of being one of their top pass catchers. I don't see him finding the end zone this week, so I think it'll be under.
Yeah. Honestly, I was planning on taking the over before you started talking, and in the beginning, it sounded like your explanation kind of backed the over with him getting the two touchdowns, having a dominant performance against Indianapolis, and I kind of think they'll kind of continue that. I mean, I think with Nico Collins out, it definitely could hurt him, being that he'll be the number one receiver, but it also could benefit him. He'll probably get a bit more targets. 11.4 isn't too high for a receiver either. It's really a touchdown and 40 yards, or it's just like in our league, like 60, 70 yards and
Yeah.
4 or 5 catches, you'll get over that. I could see him doing that. I think it'll be another high scoring game with Indianapolis, and he is the main receiver. He'll get at least 5 or 6 targets, which he brings in most of his targets. So I'm gonna take the over for him, and hopefully I catch up here on my matchup with you. But we'll see.
And yeah, that's all we got for this week. We've been again 3 straight weeks. We've been streaking. We've been doing well. We'll catch you guys again soon, and hopefully, we can keep this winning up. We can keep this winning going.
Oh yeah, let's go.